Hey, I'm Khaled. I'm a visual arts teacher, and in this tutorial, I will explain the Loomis method to draw face/head from side view. I know that you are a little impatient to be able to draw portraits perfectly, but don't worry, I am here in this channel to help you move forward and progress. But if you are passionate and you are well motivated to spend hours and hours practicing to understand and be able to draw heads correctly with the essential Loomis method. And so my goal with this tutorial is to make each step as easy to understand as possible and fill in the gaps. Loomis method, head construction steps. We've drawn the head using the Loomis method from the front on and side view perspectives, both of which are pretty simple, flat viewpoints. Now, we'll try a 3/4 view. This ups the complexity a little as now we're going to have to start thinking in 3 dimensions. You can use these same steps to draw the turned head from any angle. Whether that's 2/3, 3/4, or just about any other angle. Draw a circle. The key to successfully drawing a Loomis head from any angle is to remember that the outer circle, representing the cranial mass, is a simple ball shape. To draw this circle, either freehand with a pencil, or use a drawing tool like a compass to create a more accurate shape. Start with light lines on the paper, as you'll likely want to erase these when you've finished your drawing. Draw cross lines. You're now going to want to orientate your ball shape to visualize it in 3D space. Use the brow line rubber band through the middle of the ball, horizontally, and another rubber band perpendicular to this to give yourself a 3D ball. If you're having trouble visualizing where these crossed lines should go, use this 3D model to help guide you. Draw an ellipse for the side of the head. The inner circle, which appears as an oval in this early stage of the drawing, is a flat plane. This represents the side of the head. It's effectively a slice of the side of the ball shape. Use the rubber band crosshairs to guide your creation of the ellipse that represents the side of the head. The equivalent slice on the other side of the head will be partially visible from certain angles, especially on the forehead where the plane change is most acute. You'll want to keep this in mind and square off the line of the forehead a little to account for the plane change. Draw a center line. Drop your center line vertically down off the middle of the ball. This represents where the center of the front of the face will be, which splits each side of the nose and lips, each eye, chin, and eyebrows. The center line will help you to symmetrically place features on the face. Mark guides for the nose, chin, and hair. The next step is to divide the face up and mark where the nose, chin, and hair lines will go. The proportions of these lines remain relatively consistent for all head shapes. When looking at the proportions of the head, it can be broken down into thirds to help with accurate drawing. The first third is from the hairline to the brow and includes the forehead and eyebrows. Then, the second third is from the brow to the nose and consists of details such as eyes and nostrils. Finally, the last third goes from the nose to the chin and contains features like lips and jaw. The other measurements you can consider are that the hairline is halfway between the brow and the top of the head. Then the nose is halfway between the brow and the chin. Draw the nose and hair lines. Mark off where the nose line will be parallel to the brow line above. Then, the hairline is equidistant from the brow line and sits at the top of the head. You can see the faint line for the hair at the top of the demonstration image. Draw the chin line. Drop that same measurement down to mark off the chin line. Each of your measurements should be about the same distance from one another, as measurements of thirds. Draw the cheek. From the brow line at the outside of the ball, drop the cylinder shape of the far side of the face and jaw line down to the chin line. This cylinder will have a slight convex curve to it representing the outer edges of the far cheekbone and tapering of the jaw towards the chin. Mark the width of the chin. Estimate the width of the chin, depending on your model's jaw shape, and square off this part of the jaw to represent the far side of the jawline. Draw the jaw. Line the near side jawline curve from the chin line, altering the tight curve change of angle just below the bottom of the sliced-off ellipse to suit your model's jaw shape. Draw the ear. Draw the C curve in the appropriate bottom quadrant of the near side ellipse to represent the ear. Mark the plane of the face. You can now also drop a convex rhythm line from the corner of the near side brow down to the near side corner of the chin to represent the plane change of the full head shape. Constructing the planar eye sockets and brow. Now we need to start sculpting our 3D head. First, we're going to concentrate on the eye sockets and brow ridge. It's easier to conceptualize the eye sockets as a trapezoid-shaped overhang that's inset into the front plane of the face at an approximately 20 to 30 degree angle. We'll then draw a rhythm line from the outer and most inset lower corners of our overhang shape down toward the outer edges of the chin to create the lower part of our eye sockets. Constructing the nose. The nose, especially in a 3D view, can be a complicated beast, so we're going to want to simplify it. As you get more comfortable with the basic geometry of the nose, you'll get a feel for the shape of the nose and be able to estimate where in space it should be. If you're struggling with this, we're essentially going to find the centerline shape of the nose, extrude it equally sideways to create a planar version, then we'll stretch it out at the base to create a more trapezoid shape. We'll also find where it meets the glabella so we can join it up to the brow. The nose center line. First, we'll find the triangular center line of the nose, bringing the top of the line to align roughly with the upper eyelids and inset slightly underneath the overhang of the brow. We'll then bring a line at a change of angle to the center of the brow line to give us the angle of the glabella. Finding the nose width. We'll now draw equidistant points at the ends and along the changes of angle of this centerline to find the outer points of our planar nose. Remembering to account for the slight foreshortening and perspective shift with the points furthest from your viewpoint. Extruding the planar glabella. The glabella will have a trapezoid shape with the upper edge being significantly wider than the lower edge. Extruding the planar nose. The underside of the nose will form a trapezoid shape with it being wider at the base and narrower at the tip of the nose. Connect the lines to create our planar version of the main nose shape. You can now knock this shape back with an eraser, or layers if doing it digitally, and use the guidelines to create a more natural nose shape. Creating a more natural nose shape. We can now use the planar guidelines to indicate the nose bridge, tip and wings of the nostrils. At this stage I usually suggest the outer line of the bridge of the nose and where it overlaps or merges with the glabella. I'll also round out the underside of the nose with a dip to indicate the top of the nose, then round out and thicken the outside edges of the underside of the nose to suggest the thickness of the nostril wings. Placing the eyeballs. Add in a couple of spheres with center lines inset into the eye socket area to represent the eyeballs. There should be an eyeball's width between the two spheres. The eyelids. Indicate the shape of the upper eyelids wrapping around the sphere shape of the eyeball. Remember that there is some thickness to the eyelid. Using the center lines of the eyeball spheres as a guide, indicate the direction of the pupils and irises with the suggestion of an ellipse. Any emphasis on the lower lids can age or tire the look of your model, so at this stage, I'll leave indications of the lower lid until later in the drawing. The principles for the lower lids are the same as the upper lids though, they wrap around the spherical eyeball shape and the skin has thickness. Constructing the mouth. Remember that the mouth wraps round the muzzle shape of the tooth cylinder. Then, the upper lip protrudes above the lower lip, usually. The central triangle shape of the upper lip locks into and partially in front of the central part of the lower lip. The furthest wing of the upper lip can look quite foreshortened, so you'll want to account for this. A simple line with an upturned curve at the end indicates the lower lip, but pay attention to how the upturned curve is affected by any foreshortening as it can quickly look distorted. Rounding off the eye sockets and brow. I'll now knock back the robotic look of the abrupt planar trapezoid of the eye sockets and round them out at the outer edges. I'll also round off the glabella area and indicate the bony protuberances of the eyebrows. The hair volume. Add in some volume for the hair. It's not super important at this stage, but we want to bear in mind the volume thickness. Treat the hair as one whole mass and remember the planes change as the hair follows the shape of the head. You can also erase the guidelines at this point. From here, you can add depth and realism to your drawing by shading the head. Use soft graphite pencils and choose your favorite shading technique to create contrast and accurate value transitions. To obtain accurate depictions of light and shadow, you can refer to your drawing reference. If you're drawing from imagination, make sure to establish a light source and work from there. Finally, enjoy practicing the Loomis method, and once you've mastered the basic angles we've covered here, try moving on to more challenging angles. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. The Loomis method isn't perfect, but it works well as a basic and easy to remember system for constructing heads.